Hello everyone, this is Beastly Eel here, and in today's video we're going to be talking about episode 2 of Loki. So for those of you who have not seen the episode, I highly recommend you pausing it, watching the actual episode, and then coming back and hearing what I have to say. For those of you who don't care, well, welcome. So episode 2 starts off with Loki and Mobius um, going through a time portal in what looks like the 50s almost. It could be 60s to be honest with you, but it's very unclear. I don't remember them saying the time, but maybe it was 60s. I don't think it was 70s. Might have been 50s, but anyway, not the point. So they're looking for somebody in particular, and it turns out the person they're looking for is the hunter that was working with the judge that wanted to um, vote for all of the timelines to be destroyed. And it turns out he's decided to be on the timeline as a movie star. Because apparently, what he was supposed to be was a movie star in a timeline. And he wanted to love the limelight. So basically, he went in there and became himself, the real him, I guess, the life he was supposed to have in the timeline. And he was enjoying his, I guess you would say, 5 seconds of fame. And Loki and Mobius find him, try to talk to him, and he runs. So they start chasing him. B12 helps out as well, trying to stop him. But in the end, Loki was the one that found him again and tricked him basically with all his illusions to get him to think um, that he was stuck. And then eventually pushed him against the wall and held him by his shadows. They brought him inside and were trying to interrogate him. The first round of interrogation did not go well. In fact, X Hunter X, also known as Brad, um, wanted to mess with the group. So basically, what he was doing was he was insulting all of them um, to get under their skin. He was purposely trying to get as much information out of them, but also to distract them long enough so he wouldn't have to worry about them. Who he really was trying to tick off was Loki. But in the end, Loki didn't seem as phased as he normally would be by the insults of being insignificant, weak, and pathetic. All these things are normally things that make Loki mad and do things. This, however, did not. It had a different effect. Although he might have felt all those things, he did not actually act upon them. It was actually when he started to attack Mobius verbally, that's when Mobius just snapped and started, well, hitting him. Loki pulls him out of there, and they they really, how do I put this? Um, they really have a heart to heart at this point. So Loki and Mobius start talking, and it turns out the reason why Mobius was mad was because he doesn't know his timeline, and he doesn't want to know. And Loki was like, if it's bad, it can't be that bad. And Mobius was trying to explain to him that it being bad would be better. Meaning, like, if his life on the timeline was bad, he would be perfectly okay with it. His issue is if it was good. He doesn't think that he would be able to handle the fact that if things were to go well in the timeline, he would not be able to be content with still working with the TVA. And I think Loki understood that. So, anyway, this continues on. They are trying to think of a different tactic to get him to talk. While all of this is going on, B12 tries to get Casey to help out Obi with the um, what's it called? The Time Weaver. And that's when we find out from Obi that if they don't, if if they can't fix the machine, which they can't without um, He Who Remains time signature, they are going to lose everything. Um, and the interaction with Casey and Obi is pretty awesome. Um, but then we have Mobius and Loki coming up with a new plan because they are really dead set that not only does the hunter does Brad, sorry, does Brad know about where Sylvie is, but also what the plans were. Um, and what they do is they bring in this device that literally looks like a floor washer, like almost one of those like floor buffers, I should say. And he gets a little nervous about it, Brad, for a second until he notices that the controller isn't there. And that's when Mobius and Loki realize it's missing and they go to leave. Well, Mobius leaves, but Loki does not. He shuts and locks the door and pulls out the controller out of his, I guess you would say, pocket. I would just assume magic, to be perfectly honest with you. So anyway, he then starts talking with Brad to get information out of him, and Brad's like, "I'm not. There's nothing to say. I didn't find anybody, and I'd appreciate you not touching anything." So that's when Loki starts pushing buttons and starts making what looks like the same material that creates the time portals, but apparently it can destroy matter. So Loki puts him in there and starts to shrink the box, and that's when Brad freaks out and says, I know where Sylvie is." So he lets him out. Mobius opens the door because he wasn't actually locked out. Brad realizes it was Mobius's plan all along, and he was surprised by that. They get told to go, and they bring Brad with them to the 1980s in an alternate timeline where Sylvie is working at a McDonald's. Her first interaction with Loki is not good, but she agrees to talk with him during her break. They talk, and they are not in good speaking terms. While that's going on, Mobius and Brad are talking, and Brad is very, very scared and nervous about where he is. And Mobius is noticing it. And he's like, "What is your problem?" And he goes, "Is this an ambush? Is this actually an ambush?" And that's when Mobius forces Brad over to Loki and Sylvie, throw him down to them, and basically orders him to explain exactly what's going on. And Brad loses it and goes, "Everything's going to be gone. Everything's going to be destroyed. We stay here any longer, and everything's going to no longer exist." He tells them that the judge that wanted all the timelines deleted created a bunch, got all the charges, and was pretty much having her people go into all the different alternate timelines to put charges in to delete the timelines. So we have Loki and Mobius and Sylvie all go to where the judges, and they have a huge out fight. They're able to stop them, and I put that like that because they did delete a lot of the timelines. Um, Unclear exactly how many. I would say about 95% of the extended timelines were deleted. And then what happened was all of the TVA workers that were working for her, this judge, were captured that didn't run away, and the judge herself was captured. B12 is realizing that all those timelines were destroyed and that trillions of lives were lost. OB, on the other hand, was happy with the fact that all those timelines no longer existed because he now didn't have to worry about the TVA blowing up because there was an overflow of timelines going into the Time Weaver. Sylvie gets pissed and leaves and hopes to make it to her timeline that she was in so she can enjoy it just a little bit longer. That being said, that is pretty much the end of Loki's part of the story for that episode. We then have um, Sylvie back on her alternate timeline, sitting on her pickup truck as McDonald's is closing for the night. And it's a nice little interaction between her and a worker there and how she seems to care about him. And that is how the episode ends. So, eventually we're going to have to see Victor Timely. I'm assuming that Victor Timely is going to be somebody that's in her timeline. Um, but he's also in the tens, the 1910s, I believe. So it wouldn't make sense where he like that being his timeline. But it's very unclear for right now because we have not actually seen um, Victor Timely at all. So very curious how that goes into this whole thing. But again, this is only episode 2. We've only now just realized that most of the timelines are destroyed, which makes a lot of sense of why things haven't gone chaotic in the multiverse so far because the TVA has deleted a lot of the extended timelines before anything could really happen. That being said, it is very interesting. I'm very much enjoying the show. Cannot wait to see what the rest of the season has for us. And mostly just looking forward to it in general. So let me know what you guys thought about this episode in the comments below. Did you like it? Did you not? And why? And as always, if you like the content you see, please like and subscribe below. Other than that, this is going to be Beastly Eel signing out. Have a great night.